Wanted to share an experience I had this morning, and I want to talk about wisdom. Now, wisdom is not something that has anything to do with age. Wisdom has to do with experience and how many things in your life and past lives you've experienced. So the more you experience, the more wisdom you have because the more you've experienced. If that makes sense. And so again, it has nothing to do with age. So I'm on my walk with my dog Dexter this morning, and it's starting to get warm, and we try to go in the morning, and in the evening I actually take him twice a day, if I can. Sometimes that doesn't work, but I really try to get him out every day, and then twice a day. But we go morning and night, and that's just because that's like the cooler hours. And he's got malamute, he's got a lot of fur, and even though we brush him couple times a week and get that undercoat, he still gets hot. And so when he's walking, he gets really like lethargic. And so we walked for a little bit this morning. He was fine. He was very perky when he woke up, but then he was starting to get really tired, and it was just because it's getting hot outside. And so as we're walking, this woman walks by, and she says, he looks like he's really tired. And I said, well, he's tired, but it's more of just he's getting hot. And so we're heading back, and then tonight when it cools off, we'll go back out and go for a walk. And so we really try to, today we were a little bit later, and so I told her we'll go back tonight when it's cooler. And so she was starting to tell me that she used to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and she would go, but she said her husband passed away, and she said ever since then she doesn't get up as early and walk, and she don't have that motivation. And she says, I'm actually a great grandma. She says, I have kids, and I have grandkids, and I have great grandkids, and they're grown. She looked amazing for her age. Beautiful woman. But she was like, I don't enjoy it as much. And she goes, I just want to go be with my husband. And I said, well, it's not your time yet. And I said, it was his time, but it's not your time yet. So this is when you take your time. You raised your children. You were good to your grandchildren, good to your great-grandchildren. And I said, have you done anything for yourself? And she's like, she didn't really say anything. She kind of thought about it. She didn't really know. She was like, couldn't think of anything. And I said, this is your time to go find joy in your life. And she says, well, I try to go travel and do stuff, but it's not the same. And I said, that's because you did those things with him, right? She said, yeah. And I said, and maybe your children. And she said, yeah. And I said, so when you do those things, you think about them, right? And she says, yeah. I said, okay, that's all right. It's time to change it up. I said, so now that you have your time, I said, it's time for you to go find the things that bring you joy, and different things that you didn't do with them that you can do for yourself to make yourself happy and bring you joy. And she says, well, I try to meet friends, and I just don't have a lot of friends. And I said, but that's okay too. I said, because the right friends will come. When you do the things that bring you joy, I'm getting goosebumps. When you do the things that bring you joy, it will attract those right friends. So if you don't have a lot of friends, that's okay, because those are friends that don't need to be your friends. The right ones will come to you when you do the things you enjoy. And so they will also probably enjoy doing those things too. And she put her hand on her chest, and she says, thank you. And I said, much love. And I said, it's your time to go find some joy and attract some friends that are like-minded. And she thanked me. She just, rather than being depressed and wanting to go join her husband, she now has life. I kind of breathed some life into her. And I told her, it's your time to find some joy and attract the people that enjoy the same things. And if there's not many, that's okay, because those aren't the right ones, but the right ones will come. And even though she was much older than me and I'm much younger than her, I was still able to give her some wisdom. And that is because I've experienced that. I am not a great grandmother. I am a grandmother. But my children are grown. I spent my time with them. And yes, you have moments where you miss them. Absolutely. That just means you're human. You care. You feel. And that's okay. But now it's your time to find joy. So even being younger than her, I've had that experience, and I was able to give her some wisdom, even being younger. And so it just, when it comes to wisdom, again, it comes from experience, not age. And it's just so beautiful for people to open their heart, open their mind, and understand that life's not over because somebody passes, or your children move out and you're an empty nester. This is the time you get to find new things that bring you joy and love and the right people in your life.